Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about comparison in your content on social media. I'm jazzed up about this one because when we go into an NLP session and I'm doing a flip the script technique with a client, if we're releasing a limiting belief or if we're releasing an emotion, typically comparison kind of comes up within this. And so it's really interesting to release it, and comparison is something that's huge. People compare their followings to other people. People compare their results to other people, their finances, their revenue, you name it, they compare it, and comparison is the thief of joy. So I want to talk to you today about how when you show up and you realize that comparing yourself to other people is actually taking away from yourself, then that's when you can start to show up more confidently. So this kind of plays in with two posts that I have on my page. So I'm going to talk about one and then we're going to transition to the other. So first things first, comparison is, let's just use it in terms of your launch, right? Or even social media following. When you're comparing yourself to a bigger creator, what you're doing is you're taking away from your story, your start, and you're comparing it to somebody who has had eons of chapters in their book to get to the point where they're at right now. So you're comparing your day 2 to their day 20,000. And it's like comparing apples and bananas. They're two totally different things. You're at two totally different places. You're at two totally different spaces, two totally different levels of growth. And so it's really doing yourself a disservice when you go into comparison mode, because then what you're doing is you are allowing for yourself to show up not confidently online. So what I want to transition into, this is that second post that I was talking about. What I want to transition into, knowing that comparison is what is driving the non-confidence, the disconfidence, unconfidence, I don't know how to say it, but the lack of confidence that you have when you show up online, you realize that showing up confidently online is not necessarily a personality trait, but something that you can cultivate within yourself by working on a couple of things. So I want to go over with you. I have 6 items here. I want to go over 3 of them with you to help you cultivate more confidence when you show up online, so that you no longer compare yourself to other people. Because like I said earlier, your chapter 2 is vastly different from their day 20,000. I don't remember exactly how I said it, but I do remember that I said like either day 2 or chapter 2, whatever, you know what I mean. So basically, showing up confidently online after comparison is it's a little difficult. So we have to release that comparison. Releasing that comparison comes with a couple of different things. I would suggest and recommend checking into an NLP session if you're interested, where we go through a flip the script technique and we can release that particular emotion, that particular feeling for yourself. One thing that we can also do to start showing up more confidently is getting out of your head and getting into your body. So what you're doing when you're comparing yourself is you're like in your head, you're analyzing other people, you're analyzing what they're doing, you're analyzing what you're doing, and you're comparing the two, right? Get rid of the head, get rid of your overthinking. Get rid of the anxiety of being in your head. Because when you're in the anxiety of being in your head, what's going to happen is you're going to not show up at all because you're comparing yourself endlessly. So we want to get into the body. Right now, you can't see it because I don't have it on a video. And maybe one day I will be on a video for a YouTube podcast. But for right now, I'm not. You can't see this right now, but I am talking all over with my hands. I'm a very expressive speaker. I'm talking with my hands. I'm pointing in different directions right now. And by getting into my body, I am allowing for myself to show up more confidently speaking on this podcast. This is part of the reason why I love podcasting, because I can move more when I speak. And by getting into my body, I am allowing for myself to get in touch and be in tune with my natural, authentic expression and my natural, authentic knowledge and value. So getting out of your head, getting off of social media, getting into creation mode, getting into movement, intentional movement when you are creating is huge. I am not the only creator who talks with their hands. I know I'm not. There are plenty of other people out there who do, and it's because motion is healing. Motion can really truly get you from where you are to where you want to go. So number one, get out of your head, get into your body. This is super huge in terms of regulation. Okay? First one. I'm going to give you 3. I know I said 6. I'm going to give you 3. I don't want this podcast episode to be like super long. The second one is improved self-talk with myself. Something that a lot of people typically tend to do when they come online, they're creating content, they're posting on social media, they're looking at what they're doing on their Instagram page, is they're saying something about themselves and they're saying something about the results they're getting when they're posting. Oftentimes I'll hear, well, I don't have this many followers, or I don't have my messaging dialed in, that's why I'm not growing at all, or sometimes I'll hear like I'm burnt out and frustrated. You're speaking that existence into reality. Like, you realize that your self-talk, what you are saying to yourself, what you are even saying to other people, is your mind, your subconscious mind, expressing that this is what's happening, and you're reinforcing it when you say it. When we want to change our social media goals, our content creation goals, we want to improve the language, we want to improve the things we are saying to other people. I have tons of value on my Instagram page. Be sure to go check it out. It's at the Fallon Moran. I have tons of content, tools, strategies, tips to help you rearrange your mindset and rewire your subconscious programming around content creation and authentic sales. Go check out my Instagram page. I know that I have gotten people results that they were looking to get through the market research that I did with them earlier this year. If you're interested, let's hop on a 15-minute call and see if that's something that would work out for you. What that is doing is it's incorporating confidence in the language that I'm using. And what that's going to continue to do is increase my client base, increase my follower base, increase the amount of valuable content that I'm able to provide for people, and increase the amount of ideas that I'm going to be able to put out there. It's not a mistake. If I were to sit here and compare myself to somebody like, I don't know, Brock Johnson, I just talked about him on another podcast episode. If I were to sit here and talk about Brock Johnson, and I were to sit here and say, well, he has 757,000 followers and I have 25. Well, I'm not crediting myself enough with the perspective shifts and the reframes and the flip the script techniques and the mapping across and the switch patterns and all of the subconscious tools and strategies that I have acquired for myself that he has no idea about. And I have something that he does not have, where I know I can show up 3 times a day, every day, and create content without burning out. And I can speak to that he can't speak to his audience. So it's a perspective shift, right? What do I uniquely have to solve someone's problem? That's what you want to focus on. I have a post about this. It's basically it's a belief that somebody had said to me recently. It's like, well, I want to start a business, but I have $0 to my name. Okay, here you go. Number 1, work on your subconscious beliefs because they're running the show. Number 2, pick a problem that you can uniquely solve, because that's what people are craving. Your magic, your uniqueness, and applying it to something that is a problem out there. Is Brock solving the same problem as me, more or less, if you were to simplify things, yes. Are we doing it different? Absolutely. He's doing it in a way where it's much more masculine, much more strategic. Do I incorporate strategy in what I do? Absolutely. Is it everything about what I do? No. And if I were to go into the Insta Club Hub membership, which I'm not a part of, I would probably guarantee you that a lot of what he's doing is shifting people's mindsets, offering reframes and offering perspective shifts, because 9 times out of 10, typically, the number one belief that I hear people talk about when it comes to creating content online is, well, I'm not as funny as so-and-so. You're funny. You're creating you're creating a belief around your identity by saying something like that. And you can rewrite that belief. You can rewire it. You can reprogram it. And I can help you do that with other techniques. We can go back in time and figure out where that started, where that came from, and we can rewrite that. So picking a problem you can uniquely solve is huge, because then what happens is people are like, oh my God, did you hear about so-and-so? This is innovative, which is talking about, there's nobody else talking about it. That's why it's huge, because it's different, and people eventually get on the train of this new exciting thing. It's like the iPhone. When the iPhone first came out, everybody's like, oh yeah, like this is the iPhone. And then it became this huge thing. And now everybody has an iPhone. And not only do they have an iPhone, they have a laptop, a MacBook laptop. And if they have a MacBook laptop, you better believe that they also probably have a desktop. So it creates brand awareness. Brand awareness then creates buy-in into one of the products. And then once you've bought into one quality product that the manufacturer, the business owner, the coach, whoever has the ability to deliver on, then what happens? They buy everything. It's not a mistake. Okay, let's get back to the last thing, the last skill for you to cultivate more confidence online. We talked about getting out of your head and getting into your body. We talked about improved self-talk. The next thing that I want to present to you, the last thing that I want to present to you, is celebration, celebration, celebration. When we're talking about social media, oftentimes we're talking about, like the whole thing that I was just comparing my profile to Brock Johnson's profile. 757,000 followers to 25. Guess what? Today, I got a new follower. I went from 24 followers to 25 followers. I'm going to celebrate the shit out of that, because that's another person in my space. That's another person who wants to hear about this new, novel, innovative content. That's another person who's like, wow, I feel this, I experience this, I can see this happening in the industry, and nobody else knows these things, but you do. And that is awesome. So what am I going to do? I'm going to celebrate the friggin' shit out of it, because this is another thing that one of my mentors talks about all the time, whether it's a $7 sale or a $70,000 sale. The energy is the same. The celebration is the same. If you can bring the energy to a $7 sale that you bring to a $70,000 sale, guess what? You're going to make a shitload more sales across the board, whether it's $7 or $70,000. It's important to celebrate. And oftentimes the reason why people burn out, the reason why people compare and then burn out, and the reason why people are showing up not confidently online is because they are not taking the time to celebrate. One of the biggest indicators for burnout and frustration is lack of celebration. It comes down to making even the minutest thing, the smallest thing, the biggest thing. Because when you can make those small little steps huge accomplishments, then guess what? When you get the huge accomplishments, it all led up to that huge accomplishment. Each step got you where you get to be. It's important to celebrate. And if you don't celebrate one new person coming into your world, how can you possibly ever celebrate 100,000 people coming into your world? Very fair distinction. Very fair to be put out there. People talk about this with money all of the time. If you can't celebrate $10, how can you possibly celebrate 10,000? You're not giving it the same energy. You're not providing it the same respect. And that's what's contributing to your lack of confidence, because you're constantly being down on yourself. You're constantly being hard on yourself. You're constantly comparing yourself. Take the external piece out of it. Okay? That's part of the 6 total things. I wanted to talk about 3. We're talking about 4. Take the external portion out of it. There are always going to be other people who have more. There's always going to be other people who achieve more. And that's okay for them. They're on a different timeline than you. Take that external piece out of it. We're so conditioned to focus on that external piece, and that's not it. What it is looking at yourself. How can you compare where you are now to where you were a year ago? And like for me, my energy is vastly, completely different. Even though there's a ton of other things going on in my life right now. We still have one more round of chemotherapy to go. And it doesn't matter, because I am at a place right now today, energetically, that is so vastly different, is so grown. It is so much more sustainable than what it was a year ago. And if you were to tune back into a podcast episode from this point last year, you would hear the difference energetically. You would hear it, which is why nervous system regulation, subconscious tools, learning these techniques of getting out of your head and into your body, improving your self-talk, celebrating, these little things are huge. They're actually huge because they contribute to this energetic transformation. And what contributes to exponential growth in terms of speaking with new people, networking with new people, and exponential financial growth? Energetic transformation. It starts at an energetic level. So I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to remind you about the vision board training. It is still available for the early bird pricing, although once December 27th gets here, that goes up to full price. If you have not gotten into the vision board training, be sure to do so, because we're going to take your vision that you have for 2025. We're going to lock it in, and then I'm going to give you subconscious tools to support you in 2025. And then I'm going to give you a 10-day challenge. So that's really fucking awesome for $17, just to let you know. If that's something that you're like, I feel a little bit, maybe you're questioning a little bit. If you're looking for something maybe a little bit more helpful, I also have 100 subconscious hooks available. There's 2 different guides. There's one guide that focuses on more text on screen. The other guide focuses on more B-roll material that you can be capturing visually that is going to create a subconscious subliminal hook in your actual video content. In addition to those 2 guides, for $7, okay, you get the 2 guides with the 50 hooks, and then 50 hooks combined together is 100 hooks. In addition to that, you get 2 private podcast episodes about 2025 content insights from what I see going on in terms of the Instagram algorithm right now, and also from big names in the industry. All of that, all 4 of those things for $7, okay? That's a steal. It's a fucking steal. So be sure, if you have not already done so, to grab that as well. I'm going to put the links down below in the show notes to my Stan store. And if you have any questions, shoot me a message. I have no problem connecting and talking with you. And I would love to hear what's going on in your world. I would also love to encourage you, after listening to this podcast episode, to leave a rating and review, because that's how the podcast will continue to grow. That's how it will get to new earballs. I know, earballs, right? It will get to new earballs and new listeners, and then I could read the ratings and reviews, and I can make them a part of my episodes when I go to release new episodes, which I would love to be able to do. I would love to be able, even if it's your podcast sucks, cool, I'll read it and I'll put it in my podcast episode the next time I go to record. I would love to see your rating and reviews come through. That would make me so very happy, especially for 2025. I really want to hammer home the podcast, and I actually have a speaking event planned out for November of 2025. So I'm really excited to speak more, be on more podcasts, and to continue growing this podcast in the upcoming year. So thank you for tuning in. Be sure to leave a review, and I will talk to you very soon.